It began with a quiet exchange inside a restricted Windsor reception room, one so discreet that even longtime royal aides reportedly struggled to explain why security protocols suddenly tightened around Princess Beatrice's movements. But when Sarah Ferguson arrived at the private ceremony wearing an expression insiders described as deeply emotional, palace whispers exploded overnight. Something significant had shifted inside the monarchy, and according to reports circulating through royal circles, Beatrice had finally been entrusted with a role Queen Elizabeth quietly intended for her long before her death. Before we go deeper into what this really means for the royal family, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss a single update. What immediately fueled speculation inside palace circles was the extraordinary level of secrecy reportedly surrounding the event itself. According to insiders familiar with Windsor operations, aides allegedly enforced unusual confidentiality measures even among trusted royal staff. Invitations were reportedly handled privately, internal schedules were adjusted at the last moment, and certain palace corridors were temporarily restricted without formal explanation. For longtime royal observers, the atmosphere reportedly felt less like an ordinary ceremonial gathering and more like the quiet execution of a deeply personal royal decision years in the making. And at the center of it all stood Princess Beatrice, a royal figure many insiders claim had spent years quietly rebuilding trust inside an institution once uncertain about the York family's future. The emotional significance of Sarah Ferguson's reported attendance only intensified the whispers spreading through royal households afterward. Once pushed to the outer edges of royal life following decades of scandal, public humiliation, and institutional distance, Ferguson allegedly entered the ceremony fully aware that this moment represented something much larger than symbolic recognition for her daughter. According to palace sources, several longtime staff members privately described the atmosphere as unexpectedly emotional, particularly when Beatrice reportedly received acknowledgement connected to duty, discretion, and long-term royal trust. For many inside the monarchy, the moment allegedly reflected years of silent endurance finally being recognized behind closed doors. Insiders now claim Queen Elizabeth herself quietly viewed Beatrice as one of the more emotionally dependable younger royals long before her death. Unlike other members of the extended family who reportedly pursued visibility, influence, or public attention, Beatrice allegedly earned respect through restraint, consistency, and an almost old-fashioned understanding of royal discipline. According to various interpretations emerging from palace administrative circles, the late Queen reportedly admired the way Beatrice maintained loyalty during periods when the York family faced relentless scrutiny and isolation. And while public attention often focused elsewhere, insiders suggest Queen Elizabeth never stopped watching which family members protected the institution quietly when circumstances became difficult. That quiet reliability reportedly became increasingly valuable as the monarchy entered one of its most emotionally fragile modern chapters. Sources claim both William and Catherine privately understood the symbolic importance behind Beatrice's new responsibility, particularly during a period where trust inside royal structures allegedly became more important than public glamour. According to observers familiar with palace dynamics, the future King and Princess of Wales have reportedly grown increasingly focused on surrounding the monarchy, with figures viewed as emotionally steady, discreet, and institutionally loyal. And within that changing environment, Beatrice allegedly began standing out not because she demanded influence, but because she never publicly fought for it at all. What makes the situation even more compelling is the growing belief among royal observers that this decision reflects far deeper shifts unfolding quietly inside Windsor itself. The monarchy, once defined by rigid public hierarchy, reportedly now places enormous value on emotional reliability and private loyalty, as ongoing pressures continue reshaping royal relationships behind closed doors. According to insiders, Beatrice's rise into a more trusted role allegedly signals that the institution is reassessing not simply who holds titles, but who can genuinely be relied upon when internal tensions intensify. And as whispers surrounding the ceremony continued spreading through palace corridors, Many reportedly began realizing this was never merely about one royal appointment, but the emotional weight behind Beatrice's new position reportedly reached far beyond one ceremony. It reopened memories of promises, setbacks, and royal wounds stretching back decades. For years, Princess Beatrice reportedly lived in the shadow of royal controversy she never created herself. While scandals, public criticism, and institutional embarrassment surrounded parts of the York family, insiders claim Beatrice quietly chose discipline over resentment and privacy over rebellion. And according to palace historians, Queen Elizabeth allegedly never forgot that loyalty during some of the monarchy's darkest internal storms. At a time when royal headlines repeatedly dragged the York family into painful public scrutiny, Beatrice reportedly adopted an approach that sharply separated her from the chaos surrounding her surname. According to insiders familiar with palace operations, she allegedly understood early that survival inside the monarchy often depended less on visibility and more on emotional control. While others fought publicly for relevance, sympathy, or attention, Beatrice reportedly withdrew from unnecessary drama and focused instead on preserving trust quietly behind closed doors. That decision, palace observers claim, slowly began reshaping how senior royals viewed her during years when institutional confidence surrounding the York branch appeared dangerously fragile. Queen Elizabeth, according to various interpretations emerging from royal circles, allegedly paid far closer attention to Beatrice's conduct than many realized publicly. Sources suggest the late monarch deeply valued discretion, restraint, and loyalty during moments when the institution faced mounting embarrassment and internal pressure. And insiders now claim Beatrice's refusal to exploit royal status for personal gain reportedly earned enormous respect within palace walls over time. While modern celebrity culture increasingly blurred the line between royalty and publicity, Beatrice allegedly maintained a quieter path rooted in duty, privacy, and emotional steadiness. For a queen who spent her entire life defending institutional discipline above personal emotion, that distinction reportedly mattered deeply. The emotional strain surrounding those years, however, was far more painful behind the scenes than the public fully understood. According to palace sources, Sarah Ferguson allegedly spent years fighting privately to shield both Beatrice and Eugenie from the reputational damage surrounding ongoing royal controversies. Though often portrayed publicly as distant from the institution itself, Ferguson reportedly remained fiercely protective of her daughter's futures inside the monarchy. Insiders claim she encouraged Beatrice especially to remain patient, composed, and respectful even during periods when palace relationships became strained or uncertain. And over time, that emotional resilience reportedly became one of Beatrice's defining strengths within royal circles. What reportedly surprised many insiders most was how relationships inside the senior royal family gradually began shifting in Beatrice's favor. According to observers familiar with palace dynamics, Prince William allegedly grew increasingly respectful of the way Beatrice handled herself during difficult institutional periods. Unlike figures who openly challenged palace structures or fueled public conflict, Beatrice reportedly maintained strong private relationships with key members of the royal family without demanding visibility in return. Sources claim both William and Catherine quietly appreciated her reliability, particularly as the monarchy entered a more emotionally unstable chapter, marked by health concerns, internal fractures, and growing uncertainty surrounding the future. As those dynamics evolved quietly behind palace walls, royal observers reportedly began noticing subtle signs that the institution itself was reassessing Beatrice's long-term place within the House of Windsor. Invitations reportedly became warmer. Trust allegedly expanded carefully. Conversations surrounding continuity and dependable support reportedly included her name more frequently than before. And according to palace insiders, this transformation did not happen because Beatrice aggressively pursued influence. It happened because she endured years of difficulty without publicly turning against the institution that had often left her family emotionally isolated. Yet beneath the renewed respect surrounding Beatrice stood another emotional reality. Sarah Ferguson herself had reportedly waited years to witness this moment unfold. According to Palace Whispers, Sarah Ferguson's appearance at the ceremony reportedly carried emotional significance far beyond public visibility. Once pushed to the edges of royal life after years of scandal and exclusion, Fergie allegedly entered the event knowing her daughter had finally achieved something many inside the institution once believed impossible. And for longtime royal watchers, the moment reportedly felt less like a celebration and more like quiet redemption unfolding inside palace walls. For decades, Sarah Ferguson's relationship with the monarchy reportedly existed in a strange and painful contradiction. Publicly distant from the institution after years of controversy, she nevertheless remained emotionally tied to the family, the traditions, and the life she once believed would define her future forever. According to insiders familiar with royal dynamics, Ferguson allegedly endured years of silent heartbreak watching the York family's reputation steadily weaken, while opportunities inside royal structures quietly disappeared around her daughters. Yet despite the emotional strain, sources claim she never stopped believing Beatrice would eventually prove herself worthy of trust inside the House of Windsor. And as whispers surrounding the ceremony spread through palace corridors, many insiders reportedly understood exactly why Ferguson appeared so visibly emotional throughout the event. Those present at private palace conversations allegedly described moments of unusual warmth directed toward Ferguson, from figures who once maintained careful public distance. According to observers familiar with royal operations, certain senior royals reportedly acknowledged her presence with a level of openness rarely seen in previous years. The atmosphere, insiders claim, carried the emotional weight of history itself, years of embarrassment, isolation, criticism, and unresolved wounds quietly hanging beneath every interaction. But for one evening, palace tensions reportedly softened just enough to allow something unexpected to emerge: recognition. Not necessarily full acceptance, and certainly not complete reconciliation, but recognition that both Ferguson and her daughters had endured extraordinary public scrutiny without fully turning against the institution itself. At the center of that emotional shift reportedly stood Princess Beatrice. According to palace sources, Beatrice spent years privately protecting both her mother and father during periods when public hostility surrounding the York family reached unbearable levels. Insiders claim she refused to abandon family loyalty, even when doing so may have benefited her own royal standing. That quiet devotion allegedly impressed senior members of the monarchy far more than the public ever realized. While others publicly rebelled, criticized, or distanced themselves from royal structures during difficult periods, Beatrice reportedly chose patience, restraint, and emotional discipline instead. And over time, that consistency allegedly transformed the way palace figures viewed her character. What reportedly added even greater emotional complexity to the moment were long-standing whispers that Queen Elizabeth herself maintained private affection for Sarah Ferguson, despite years of official separation from royal duties. According to royal historians and palace insiders, the late Queen allegedly understood Ferguson's flaws, but also recognized her fierce loyalty to family and the emotional bond she shared with Andrew's daughters. Sources claim that while public appearances required distance, private feelings inside the royal household were often far more nuanced than outsiders realized. And for observers watching the ceremony unfold quietly behind palace walls, the event reportedly felt almost like the closing of an emotional circle the Queen herself may have hoped would one day heal. As reactions spread through royal circles afterward, many insiders reportedly began viewing the ceremony as symbolic of broader changes quietly unfolding inside the monarchy. The institution, once known for rigid emotional barriers, allegedly now appeared more willing to recognize loyalty, endurance, and personal resilience over public perfection alone. Observers claim attitudes inside Windsor have slowly softened toward figures who remained respectful of royal structures, despite personal suffering and public humiliation. And according to palace whispers, Beatrice's growing role may represent part of a larger effort to strengthen family unity during one of the monarchy's most uncertain modern chapters. But while the ceremony appeared calm on the surface, insiders claim larger royal calculations were quietly shaping every detail behind the scenes. As palace influence quietly shifted under King Charles's reign, reports suggest a smaller and more carefully trusted royal circle began forming behind closed doors. And according to insiders familiar with Windsor operations, Princess Beatrice allegedly emerged as one of the few younger royals viewed as emotionally dependable during an increasingly fragile period for the monarchy itself. Behind the carefully managed public image of continuity and calm, palace insiders claim the monarchy has been undergoing a quiet internal transformation ever since Charles ascended the throne. The pressures reportedly surrounding the king's health struggles, combined with ongoing family tensions and public scrutiny, allegedly forced senior royal figures to reassess who could genuinely be trusted during moments of institutional vulnerability. According to sources familiar with Windsor operations, the atmosphere inside royal households gradually became more cautious, more emotionally guarded, and far more selective regarding who gained proximity to important discussions. And within that shifting environment, Princess Beatrice reportedly began standing out not through ambition or public influence, but through consistency, restraint, and quiet reliability. King Charles, according to various palace whispers, allegedly placed increasing value on emotional stability during periods of mounting pressure surrounding the crown. Insiders claim the king became deeply aware that every internal disagreement, every fractured relationship, and every public controversy risked weakening confidence in the monarchy at a time when the institution could least afford instability. As a result, royal observers believe Charles quietly gravitated toward figures who projected calm, discretion, and loyalty without demanding attention in return. And according to several sources, Beatrice allegedly became one of the younger royals who consistently earned trust simply by avoiding the destructive cycles of public drama that had exhausted the institution for years. What reportedly impressed palace figures most was Beatrice's refusal to exploit her royal position, despite countless opportunities to do so. According to insiders familiar with palace staff discussions, aides allegedly appreciated her low-profile conduct during some of the monarchy's most emotionally difficult chapters. While media attention repeatedly circled around scandals, betrayals, and institutional conflict, Beatrice reportedly maintained a disciplined silence that many inside Windsor quietly admired. Sources claim she approached royal relationships carefully, avoided unnecessary public controversy, and protected private family matters even during periods when tensions behind closed doors reportedly became overwhelming. Over time, palace observers suggest that restraint slowly transformed into credibility. At the same time, William and Catherine reportedly began prioritizing dependable family alliances more seriously than ever before. According to insiders familiar with the future King and Princess of Wales, both allegedly recognized the growing importance of surrounding the monarchy with emotionally grounded figures capable of preserving institutional stability during uncertain years ahead. Sources claim Beatrice's loyalty, discretion, and respectful conduct increasingly aligned with the kind of quieter royal support system William hoped to strengthen moving forward. And as generational dynamics inside the House of Windsor reportedly shifted, trust itself allegedly became one of the monarchy's most valuable forms of influence. Royal observers now believe these evolving relationships reflect a broader emotional recalibration quietly unfolding inside palace walls. The monarchy, once driven largely by rigid hierarchy and public status, reportedly now places greater emphasis on emotional reliability, private discipline, and the ability to withstand pressure without creating additional instability. According to insiders, this shift has fundamentally changed how younger royals are viewed behind closed doors. Popularity alone allegedly no longer guarantees influence. Instead, figures capable of protecting unity during crisis are reportedly becoming increasingly valuable to the institution's long-term survival. And for many palace insiders, Princess Beatrice's growing presence inside this trusted circle symbolizes something larger than personal redemption or restored status. It reportedly reflects the monarchy's deeper search for steadiness during one of the most uncertain chapters in modern royal history. As tensions continue simmering quietly beneath the surface, the institution allegedly understands that emotional loyalty and institutional discipline may determine which relationships ultimately shape the Crown's future. Yet the deeper meaning behind Beatrice's growing role reportedly connected directly to the Queen's final hopes for preserving unity inside the House of Windsor. Long before the reported ceremony took place, insiders claim Queen Elizabeth quietly believed Princess Beatrice possessed qualities the monarchy would eventually need: again, patience, emotional discipline, and loyalty without public performance. While others reportedly fought loudly for visibility and influence, Beatrice allegedly earned trust through years of silence, restraint, and unwavering support during moments when the institution itself seemed dangerously unstable. According to palace observers, the late Queen deeply respected figures who protected royal tradition without demanding constant recognition in return, and insiders now believe Beatrice gradually became one of those trusted figures behind closed doors. Sources familiar with Windsor operations claim Beatrice earned that confidence slowly, through consistency rather than ambition. Unlike royals who sought public relevance during difficult institutional periods, Beatrice reportedly maintained a quiet loyalty that palace staff increasingly viewed as emotionally dependable. Observers allegedly compared her temperament to some of the monarchy's quieter senior figures, those who preserved stability not through public spectacle, but through calm endurance during moments of internal uncertainty. And throughout those years, Sarah Ferguson reportedly reminded her daughter constantly about dignity, resilience, and surviving public humiliation without allowing bitterness to consume her. According to various interpretations emerging from palace circles, the ceremony itself reportedly carried significance far beyond symbolic recognition. Insiders claim it reflected a broader emotional shift quietly unfolding inside the monarchy, as public scrutiny intensified, and questions surrounding the future royal structure continued growing more serious. Palace figures allegedly began valuing emotionally grounded personalities capable of preserving unity during unstable periods, and Beatrice reportedly emerged as one of the younger royals increasingly trusted within those conversations. At the same time, William and Catherine allegedly supported strengthening institutional continuity through dependable family alliances rather than public drama or personal ambition. Royal traditionalists reportedly viewed Beatrice's growing role as proof that quiet discipline still mattered inside the House of Windsor. Charles himself, according to insiders, allegedly sought emotional steadiness during ongoing pressures surrounding both his reign and the monarchy's future direction, and as trust dynamics shifted behind palace walls, observers increasingly believed quieter royals may hold far greater influence in the years ahead than anyone previously expected. But as whispers surrounding the ceremony spread through royal corridors, many insiders reportedly realized this was no longer simply about Beatrice alone. And as palace dynamics continued evolving behind carefully guarded walls, the emotional consequences of this decision were only beginning to unfold. For Sarah Ferguson, insiders claim the ceremony reportedly represented something far more personal than royal recognition. After decades of scandal, exclusion, public humiliation, and emotional distance from the institution she once called home, watching Beatrice receive trust from the Crown allegedly became a moment of profound healing few thought possible. According to palace whispers, Ferguson reportedly viewed the event not simply as a celebration for her daughter, but as quiet validation for years of private struggle, resilience, and emotional endurance carried largely away from public sympathy. Throughout some of the monarchy's most difficult periods, insiders claim Beatrice worked tirelessly to preserve fragile family bonds even as tensions surrounding the York family intensified. While public criticism continued surrounding royal controversies, Beatrice reportedly refused to allow bitterness to define her relationship with the institution. Instead, sources suggest she focused on loyalty, patience, and maintaining respectful ties with senior royals during moments when emotional fractures inside Windsor reportedly became increasingly painful behind closed doors. And over time, palace observers believe that consistency slowly changed how the monarchy viewed both Beatrice and the York family itself. According to insiders, reconciliation inside Windsor remains emotionally delicate even now. Old wounds have reportedly not disappeared completely, nor have years of embarrassment and public scrutiny been fully forgotten. Yet many palace figures allegedly viewed the ceremony as evidence that quiet acceptance has gradually returned for members of the York family who remained loyal despite difficult circumstances. Observers claim the monarchy increasingly values emotional steadiness and internal trust over public glamour alone, especially during a period where institutional stability has become one of the Crown's greatest concerns. In the end, palace insiders reportedly believe Princess Beatrice's ceremony symbolized something much larger than a single royal appointment. Instead, they claim it reflected the monarchy's growing realization that survival may depend less on spectacle and more on quiet loyalty, dependable relationships, and the willingness to protect the institution without demanding recognition in return. Beatrice reportedly emerged as a symbol of dependable continuity, while Sarah Ferguson allegedly witnessed a moment she feared might never come. At the same time, William and Catherine reportedly continued prioritizing emotionally grounded royal figures capable of preserving stability during uncertain years ahead, while Charles allegedly remained caught balancing modernization with the traditions that still define the monarchy's emotional core. And as Queen Elizabeth's influence reportedly continues shaping royal decisions long after her death, insiders claim trust itself has become the monarchy's most valuable currency. Because within the House of Windsor, titles may define status, but trust, loyalty, and silent endurance are what ultimately shape royal legacy forever. Thanks for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and we will see you in next one.